Hello, everybody. We start this leg of our journey here at Whitefish Point, more specifically, the Whitefish Point Lighthouse. And of course, this is also the home of the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum. Whitefish Point has long been an important maritime landmark here on Lake Superior. The first light was established here in 1849, with the current light having been built just a few years later in 1861. This area of the Great Lakes is particularly dangerous for shipping, and there's a large number of shipwrecks here, including not very far from here, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, perhaps one of the most famous shipwrecks of our lifetime. The beacon here at Whitefish Bay still operates to this day. However, the Coast Guard station that used to be in this spot is no longer active, having been decommissioned in 1971. Most people who visit Whitefish Point come from Mackinac City area or Sault Ste. Marie. It's about a 2-hour drive from the latter and about an hour and a half drive on the former if you go directly. Of course, the way we travel, it takes a whole lot longer. It took us all day to get to this point. And unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of time to stop and spend time here. But it is a nice place to hang out. It's a great place to just kind of relax. There is the museum, of course. There's the light and all the buildings and relics to look at. And there's even a little cafe with a fudge store attached. So there's actually kind of cool stuff to see up here if you have time. While I was up there, there were a lot of families just out and about, enjoying the day, enjoying the view of the lake, from which you can see Canada on a clear day. I wasn't there on a clear day, but sometimes you can actually see that far. Like a lot of the other lighthouses in this part of the state, this wasn't my first time here. I'd been up here before in 2020, but there are a lot more people around for obvious reasons. But as usual, we have places to be. So after a quick pit stop and a quick look around, it's time to get back on the road to our final destination for the day, just outside of Munising. As I thought, the view is kind of lacking here today, mostly because of the haze that we have that's kind of enveloped the coast here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can see it.
But that's not stopping people from taking the view here and spending some time swimming in the lake even. It has been a rather warm day, so I imagine that's pretty refreshing. The stunning array of driftwood over here. after leaving Whitefish Point, our route becomes a little bit less certain. It's a little bit harder to navigate up here, and there's a lot of these rather rustic gravel roads, many of which loop back on themselves, many of which are dead ends. So it was kind of hard to kind of weave my way through this little area, especially when maps don't really show everything that's there. Eventually I ended up on some kind of dodgy roads, including a fire road that wasn't as good condition as I had hoped, but you'll see the footage from that as we go. When you think about it, the rustic road network up here is actually pretty extraordinary, considering how distant we were from major population centers. There was a lot of traffic up here, a lot more than you'd expect, and of course people stirring up dust, and the car got pretty dirty while I was up here. Honestly, from the clips here, it's not entirely clear the route I was taking. To be fair, it was kind of a windy route. On top of that, there were some adjustments to the route that were made because of missed turns, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that almost none of these roads are actually marked. Nothing is worse on a trip like this of going down a road for 10, 12 miles and then having it come to a dead end. So you have to be careful about where you go. Ultimately, we were making our way to Grand Marais, Michigan, not to be confused with Grand Marais in Minnesota that we covered in the first series. After passing through Grand Marais, we did kind of a zigzaggy path back to Michigan H58, and then from there we didn't take much footage, and a lot of that had to do with my GoPro batteries, which after a long day of filming were getting rather low. Keep in mind that on this particular filming day we had actually started the day on Drummond Island. But soon enough we ended up in the outskirts of Munising, and that is where we will pick up next time.